ESPN's Pat McAfee insists Nebraska quarterback Dylan Raiola will be a superstar this year. We agree, but can he lead the Huskers to the playoffs? Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. Of course, we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below while you're watching and share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten so you don't miss a single episode. We're making a hard push. We're this close to 18,000 subscribers if you could help us out there. So, Huskers hype. Let's talk about it. Plus, Brett Bielema, Brad Underwood, everybody in Illinois getting long extensions, and we'll have the latest with the recruiting wars going on in college football in the Big Ten and our Big Ten Classics coming up at the end for the Big Ten Network as we look ahead to this weekend. But ESPN's Pat McAfee, the very popular broadcaster, says that Nebraska and the quarterback Dylan Raiola, he's going to be a star in 2025. But can he lead the Huskies to the college football playoffs? Look, they just got bowl eligible last year for the first time in forever. I can already hear the Husker fans saying, whoa, wait just a minute. Again, that was our first bowl game since 2016. Baby steps, right? Which they won, by the way. Beat Boston College in the Pinstripe Bowl, so that was cool. Overall, the Huskers 7-6 with that bowl win, and they look promising in that, and they got above water, above a winning record. This is a sign that the program is finally trending in the right direction. Look, there was a lot of pressure on Matt Rule and the whole program to get bowl eligible. It was driving Nebraska fans nuts that they hadn't been to a bowl game since 2016. So there's some good stuff there last year. And Raiola had, I would say, a good freshman year last year. Again, the 7-6 was good. The 3-6 record in the conference suggests there's some more work to do. So a quick look back in time. I mean, they had that nice little warm up against UTEP. And again, all the world going, how's this 5-star true freshman Dylan Raiola gonna do? He's gonna start from day one. How's he gonna look? Jitters, learning curve, all that. Look, he did all right. That UTEP game is like, okay, all right, we got something here. And then after that, the Huskers had that awesome atmosphere in Lincoln in front of a national TV audience against 23rd ranked at the time Colorado. The Buffs coming in with everything that brought. Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, future Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter. I mean, it was phenomenal. Great atmosphere. Huskers won fairly easily, 28-10. Raiola was an efficient 23 of 30 in the game, 185 yards and a touchdown pass in a big-time event. Okay, so we knew we had something pretty early on. The only downside of that game last year, by the way, all 28 points came in the first half. Didn't do anything at all in the second half. It's like, all right, this is stalling out a little bit. But a win is a win. 2 weeks later, they would lose to Illinois. But, that Illinois team, they were ranked, and they ended up winning 10 games. That was a good football team last year with Brett Bielema. We're going to talk about him later on in this podcast. Some red flags started to emerge a little bit. They eked out that 14-7 win over Rutgers. I think people were hoping that it would be a bigger margin. But again, a win is a win. Then they got blown out on national TV on a Saturday afternoon at Indiana, 56-7. Again, we found out Indiana was pretty good. They were a playoff team. Well, it was a week later, right after the Indiana game. Tough part of the schedule, right? Going on the road, taking on a top 10 Indiana team, then going on the road, taking on a top 10 Ohio State team, which would eventually be the national champions. But they only lost that game 21-17. And any neutral fan that watched that would say that Nebraska coulda, woulda, and shoulda won that football game, hanging with the very best. So first half of the season, we're seeing some signs here that there's something there. But those losses, Indiana, Ohio State, it became a bit of they spun out of control a little bit there. Ended up losing 4 in a row because it was a letdown, and then losing 5 out of 6. And there was at one point where like, oh my gosh, Are we going to crash and burn at the end of the season here and not make a bowl game again like the previous year and that losing streak? So Nebraska fans holding on for dear life. They barely did scratch out some bowl eligibility. Again, that was a major, major goal for this program last year. And winning that bowl game against Boston College, the Pinstripe Bowl, was a good reset and a nice launch into 2025. But midway through that season, actually a little later than midway through the season, there was the loss to a struggling UCLA team. This is like the last third of the season. Raiola suffered a back injury that I think really kind of put an end point to his development for the rest of the year. And I think it did hinder him. And it turned out an injury was a very painful sound. It was a contusion of his back and his spine. They had a bye week the next week, and he came out the next week. He played against USC. He threw 2 interceptions in that game, though. But on the year, I think true freshman, 2,800 yards, 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. True freshman. Not bad. Not bad. A whole lot of experience that he'll be able to build on moving forward. A lot of promise. If you watch Raiola play, you can see there was a lot of promise in there. So again, 2024 was up and down, but it was really easy to watch Raiola and forget that he was a true freshman. Cut him some slack a little bit. So I mean, true freshmen, even redshirt freshmen, typically don't start day one out of the box at Power 4 schools. He did it. He survived it. He showed some signs of being good. And I would only expect a huge improvement curve now moving forward and more success for Raiola. So the question then becomes how much success and how soon? With 6 regular season wins last year, 10 wins seems to be the cutoff for a Big Ten team getting into the playoffs. Maybe 9 wins if it's the right 9. And the only reason we're talking about it is we asked, all right, Raiola's going to be a star, right? Can they be a playoff team? Well, that's what's going to take. It's going to take about a 4-win improvement from last year. So I was looking at the schedule, and there's a fly in the ointment. We'll get to it. First of all, he would need some help. Receivers got to be good running game, stout defense. He can't do it by himself. So I was taking a look at the Huskers schedule. Opening day win against Cincinnati is a must. Then Akron in week 2. You can't let that slip away. The week 3 game against Houston Christian U, that's a problem. Not because they'll not win the game. They'll win the game. It's really not going to count in anybody's eyes. That could cost them later if they're on the bubble for anything. And I'll explain that in a second. So let's say the 2 wins at Cincinnati and Akron. Let's go with that. Houston Christian will set aside as a win. And by the way, don't even dare think about losing it or your season's over. Hosting Michigan, September 20th. That could be tough. It could be a tough game. The Huskers could, though, go on a 4-game run at this point. Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota, and Northwestern. So you get those 4. You get the Cincinnati. You get the Akron. There's 6 quality wins right there. Houston Christian, you got 7. They play USC and UCLA. If you win those, now that's 8 good quality wins, 9 overall. You got Penn State, and you close out at Iowa. Again, if you win those games. So let's just say Michigan and Penn State, you don't get them. Now you're looking at 10-2, but it's really 9-2 because you're not going to get credit for that Houston Christian University win in week 3. So that's where that's a problem. So 9 wins with that schedule probably doesn't get you in. You go knocking off of Michigan, now we're talking. You go knock off of Penn State, now you're really talking. Stranger things have happened. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the season. No, so playoff team, no, I think that's a whole nother year away from even thinking about that. But I am excited to watch Dylan Raiola this year. And, if you're an everydayer of this podcast, we've talked about him a lot. We think a lot of him, whether Pat McAfee of ESPN says anything or not. But he did, so I thought I'd bring it up today and get your comments as well. Husker fans, let's hear from you. Haven't heard from Husker fans in a while. Hit me up on the comments on YouTube. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. It is free, and that way you'll never miss a single episode. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten. Get us over to 18,000 subscribers. We're trying to get there this week. Also, please, don't forget our website, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there. Plus, you can buy Nebraska Husker t-shirts, hats, and pennants, and all that fan gear right there. TalkBig10.com. That is our address for all of our podcasts go, and you can get the merchandise there as well. All right, a lot I want to talk to you. Illinois paying all of its coaches. Its football coach, Brett Bielema, its basketball coach, Brett Underwood. A lot of recruiting news, some flipping going on. Plus, we'll have our Big Ten Classics. All that's coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. Wayfair, days are getting long. It's summer's coming. You're going to be outside, and, you can refresh your outdoor space and get some great stuff, great furniture at Wayfair. Whether you're working on the backyard, maybe you got a little small balcony area, courtyard, Wayfair has everything you need to make it feel more like you. Wayfair's massive selection of outdoor essentials makes it easy to transform any space into your ideal summer setup. From comfy conversation sets to sleek dining tables and outdoor decor, they've got it all. My wife and I shop there all the time. Prices are great. They fit your budget. So get that new patio look, impress the neighbors, the friends. You can mix and match some styles. Delivery is free. It's also hassle-free, even for the big stuff. Free. So entertain the guests or just relax back there. Shop Wayfair to help you unwind. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online this summer. Get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home, Wayfair. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Thank you. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that free subscribe button. Push us over 18,000 subscribers. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And if we get our website, talkbig10.com. So, a lot of big news at Illinois. First of all, football coach Brett Bielema and basketball coach Brad Underwood, they both got 6-year extensions. And that's got to be fun when you're an athletic director and everything is going so well. You just give out contract extensions. Everybody's happy over there. Well-deserved. Both their programs are running at a pretty high level. Bielema is 28-22 in 4 years, 18-18 in the Big Ten, but they're trending in the right direction. He got 10 wins last year. He's going to make $7.7 million a year. And 2024 was just the 5th time in the program's 133 years that they hit a double-digit win total. So congratulations there. Underwood, been there for 8 years, 3 league titles, 5 NCAA tournament appearances, including an Elite 8. And his new salary will start at $4.4 million a year. Again, well-deserved for both of those coaches. All right, they're very good. And I know they both have an eye on being like awesome good, just getting to the top. They're getting close. Meanwhile, Ohio State's all-world sophomore wide receiver Jeremiah Smith got an interesting new name, image, and likeness deal. He landed a deal with Mark Wahlberg Auto Group. Yeah, as in the famous actor Mark Wahlberg. Smith had 76 receptions, 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns on his way to leading the Buckeyes to a national championship last year. And he is thought to be the highest paid non-quarterback in college football with an estimated annual valuation of $4 million. Meanwhile, the actor Wahlberg has several auto dealerships, in case you were wondering, around the country. He has starred in films like Italian Job, Ted, Invincible, The Departed, The Other Guys, Father Stew. I'm sure you've seen some of those movies. Yeah, so he's got some auto dealerships and giving some name, image, and likeness money to Jeremiah Smith. Smith took a picture in front of a car. I think it was a Benz outside the dealership and put it on social media. Meanwhile, we have some other recruiting battles shaping up. Earlier this week, I think it might have been yesterday, we were talking about 5-star linebacker Xavier Griffin, number 2 linebacker in the country, been committed to USC in that top-rated 2026 class for some time. Just announces decommitment. Opening it back up. People are going to be jumping all over that. He's from Gainesville, Georgia. Before he had offers from Alabama, FSU, Ohio State, Texas. Everybody wanted him. So we'll see. It takes one, then maybe a few more go, and all of a sudden you don't have the number 1 rated class anymore. Although Lincoln Riley's top rated class, it was head and shoulders above it. There was some gap between number 1 and number 2. So Hopefully for Trojan fans, that's it. But they recruited so many kids. Just the likelihood of numbers game. There'll probably be a few more that drop off. We'll stay out in Southern California. UCLA, they made a lot of noise that we talked about a couple of weeks ago when it got Nico Iamaleava from Tennessee and his brother, by the way, both play quarterbacks in the transfer portal. Both play quarterback. Several other quarterbacks on the Bruins depth chart departed via the portal because of that, including Joey Aguilar, who had just transferred in from App State. And then he saw that and he says, I'm out of here. Ironically, went to Tennessee to go replace Iamaleava. But now, after 2 years at Louisville, quarterback Pierce Clarkson, he's coming home. He's an LA native. He's going to be at UCLA as well. Got 3 years of eligibility, maybe the long game here. See how that goes for him. Meanwhile, Maryland coach Mike Loxley got himself a recruiting win. Got a 3-star corner in Zahir Cobb, local kid. So this is a good get. 6'3", 180 pounds, DB, third best overall recruit in the DC area. Had offers from Penn State, Virginia Tech, Virginia, Indiana, and Maryland. Also a two-way player, by the way. We'll see if that is a new vogue thing. He says he's a fan of Mike Loxley, wanted to stay at home and play. You're not going to beat that, even though Penn State was recruiting him pretty hard. Nice win for Loxley. I think he needed it because I saw, we talk about recruiting every day here on Lockdown Big Ten. And, we talk about kids out east, a handful of schools they may be considering, and Maryland's on the list, but Maryland wasn't getting those guys. They were coming in second, third, and fourth. So that's a good recruiting win for Loxley and the Terps. Luke Fickell and Wisconsin Badgers. They got a commit from linebacker Aiden Reeder out of Cincinnati. Fickell has some recruiting experience in Cincinnati from his days coaching the Bearcats. Reeder was also considering Minnesota, Iowa, and Michigan State. He is a 3-star who had 17 scholarship offers, and they say he may even bump up to 4-star status before long, according to those that do such things. So 3-star, borderline 4-star player. Let's talk about Kirk Ferentz for a minute at Iowa. He's had some quarterback problems for the past couple of years. And this year they got transfer quarterback Mark Gronowski. Don't know how he's going to do, but they seem set there. But he's only got 1 year of eligibility left. So they're always looking with an eye on the future. And they were excited to land 3-star recruit Cash Herrera. Love the name, Cash. Cash Herrera on the day of name, image, and likeness. He gave verbal commit last October, but other schools are still lurking and contacting him, like Cal and Arizona. He's 6'3", still says he's still with Iowa. He says he loves the staff, but he also said he doesn't want to close any doors. So how committed are you if you say that? I think that would make Kirk Ferentz and his staff just a little bit nervous. A little bit nervous there. Michigan's been kind of quiet on the transfer portal front. They've only added a couple of players here this spring, and their best get so far might be UMass running back CJ Hester. I know. He rushed for 529 yards and 4 touchdowns last year, averaged 4.4 yards a carry. 14 catches for 58 yards, all very pedestrian. Now, he might not even see the field this year. He joins the running back room with Jordan Marshall and Justice Hayes, who transferred over from Alabama. And Michigan also added Princeton transfer running back John Volker. So they're pretty deep at running back right here. They're replacing Donovan Edwards and Khalil Mullings. So we'll see how that goes. Here's one for the loss column. You've heard about 6'8", 315-pound, 5-star offensive tackle Jackson Cantwell from Nixa, Missouri. I've heard of him, but I've never heard of Nixa, Missouri. He's the number 1 tackle in the class of 2026, number 3 overall recruit. And a lot of school, Oregon and Ohio State, they were after this kid, as well as Georgia. But he's going to Miami. He spurned Ohio State and Oregon. Probably in the end of the day was the $2 million name, image, and likeness deal. $2 million a year, by the way, that the Hurricanes offered him. Although he did say publicly, money was not a factor. Money was a factor. Trust me. Don't forget softball. NCAA tournament starts tomorrow. We got 8 Big Ten teams in there. We're rooting on Michigan, Northwestern, Nebraska, Indiana, Ohio State, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, all in. Those games will mostly be on ESPN2 if you want to check those out. Speaking of games on TV, on Thursdays, we always look ahead to the weekend and take a look at weekend programming on the Big Ten Network. We highlight a few things, Big Ten classics and live action, and we will do that in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, here on Locked On Big Ten, we always like to close out with a nice feature. Mondays, if you're new, Mondays, we always do our top 10 Big Ten observations for the weekend. Tuesdays are Tuesday tweets. Wednesdays, we power rank stuff. Thursdays, we look ahead at the Big Ten Network and their scheduling. We highlight some things you might be interested in with Big Ten classics and live action. And we look at odds or pick'ems for our Friday podcast. So let's take a look. We'll put this on screen if you're audio only. Never fear. We will describe in detail what we have here on the schedule, and we'll pick it up with Friday, May 16th. And we're going to pick it up with the 1:30 in the afternoon. You might want to tape this or record it if you're at work. Got an Oregon football classic, Big Ten championship. You remember Oregon versus Penn State. Dylan Gabriel throwing for 4 touchdowns and helping the Ducks beat the third-ranked Nittany Lions 45-37 to earn the program's first Big Ten title in their first year in the Big Ten. At 4 o'clock, we got one of those Big Ten football in 60s where they highlight from snap. They just edit out all the stuff in between the snaps. Just go snap, snap, snap. Nebraska at USC from this past November. Jade Maeva passing for 259 yards and 3 touchdowns to lead the Trojans to a 28-20 victory over the Cornhuskers. I think that was his first or his second game that he replaced Miller Moss at quarterback and ended up winning. 7 o'clock Eastern time. This will be 4 o'clock Pacific. We got some Big Ten baseball. Oregon at Iowa, followed by 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. Northwestern at UCLA out west. So that's the Friday portion. On Saturday, start off at 7 a.m. Another Big Ten football in 60. Northwestern at Maryland from October. Jack Lausch throwing for 203 yards and ran for touchdowns. The Wildcats beat the Terps 37-10. Offensive explosion for Northwestern in that game. Then we move on to 9 o'clock Eastern, still 6 o'clock Pacific. If you want to catch this football in 60, Minnesota at Michigan. Khalil Mullings, who we just mentioned a moment ago, rushing for 111 yards and a couple touchdowns to help the 12th-ranked Wolverines clinch a 27-24 victory over the Golden Gophers and keep the little brown jug in Ann Arbor. Then Big Ten baseball on Saturday, 1 o'clock Eastern, Oregon at Iowa. At 4 o'clock Eastern, Northwestern at UCLA. That'll be 1 o'clock Pacific. And then at 7 o'clock, they're going to re-air the Big Ten men's golf championship. UCLA ended up winning that. That was back in April, if you want to catch that. And then on Sunday, at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. on the West Coast. We got to mention that because the Big Ten's coast to coast, East Coast, West Coast, North, South. We get it all. The Big Ten rowing championships. Yeah, it seems like something you got to get up early and watch. Meanwhile, at 12 noon, we got Big Ten women's golf to go replay the Big Ten championship. Oregon won that. Set a 54-hole tournament record with 852. Pretty good. Go back and watch that again. And then at 3:30, a live event, Big Ten Outdoor Track and Field Big Ten Championships. And again, if you're looking for some Big Ten softball in the NCAA tournament, again, ESPN2 is where you're going to need to go as you're cheering on all the teams in the Big Ten for that. All right, so that's our Big Ten classics and live action for the weekend on the Big Ten Network. Let me know what you think. Maybe something you're interested in. Meanwhile, there are many ways for you to interact with this podcast. We are here every day. Let me tell you about this. So we're the most unique podcast out there for the Big Ten. Video and audio and That's right. We have audio only. If you like Spotify or Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, you can check us out there in addition to the video here on YouTube. So check us out. Tell your friends about us. Word of mouth is great. I know you know somebody who's a Big Ten fan, family member, friend. Let them know we're out here every day. Cover all 18 teams, do all these sports. We, in addition to all the news, we have analysis of that news and then opinion of that news. This is the only podcast like it. We're not afraid of opinion, yours or mine. So interact with us on Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten. Our website, talkbig10.com, number 10. And be sure to subscribe before you go. Help us push it over 18,000 subscribers. We started with 1,000 subscribers less than 2 years ago. Thanks to you, we're up to 18,000. Our goal is to get to 18,000 here in the next week and 20,000 by the start of football season. And then we'll be off and running. So hit that subscribe button so you never miss a single episode. It's free. Feel free to go back and check out another podcast. Maybe you missed yesterday's. Love to have you. In the meantime, our friend Brian Smith has The Portal Show. You can check that out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts as well. Helps you keep track of the point. He's great with recruiting news. He knows everything. Recruiting news. Keep an eye on the transfer portal as well. And I heard a stat the other day that last year, 4,500 kids hit the transfer portal. It's way more than you thought, right? And they all have to find homes. And then there are people like Brian Smith who have to keep track of all that stuff and know who's going where, who's coming, who's going, who's on the fence, who's getting how much money. It's crazy. But you can boil it all down on The Portal Show with Brian Smith. So find The Portal Show on YouTube wherever you find your podcast. Thank you for joining us. We're here each and every day, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Can't wait for it. Always enjoy our time here. Never take it for granted, but we'll talk to you again tomorrow. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll see you next time.